Oh, hello everyone. This is a quarter moon day, and it's time for a Dhamma talk. So please settle down and pay homage to the Lord Buddha. Namo Dassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Dassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Dassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Subhanupassim Viharantam Indriyesu Asamvutam Bhojanam Hi Chamatanyum Kusitam Hina Viryam Tam Ve Pasahattimaro Vato Rukkam Vadubalam Asubhanupassim Viharantam Indriyesu Susamvutam Bhojanam Hi Chamatanyum Saddam Aradha Viryam Tam Venapasahattimaro Vato Selam Vapabbatam. So these two final verses that I have picked today for today's topic is included in the Dhammapada of the Sutta Pitaka. And I chose these two because they quite exemplify the Buddha's teaching, just like most of the other, nearly all the other verses in the Dhammapada, because they teach the Dhamma in such a simple way for everyone to understand, which is why it's so popularly translated into so many languages. I think it is treated almost like the Buddhist Bible, because a lot of people, when they start off in the path, they like to read the Dhammapada as a starter because it's a great place to start. But also, this sort of surface level of easy to understand meanings, it belies a much deeper, complex Dhamma as well, which becomes more obvious as you study the rest of the suttas and you meditate and you follow the path in dana, sila, and bhavana. And this is sort of common to most of the suttas that the Lord Buddha proclaimed, because the Lord Buddha is described as the perfect doctor or the incomparable surgeon, because he's so good at finding exactly what's wrong, what's causing us pain, what is wrong with our human condition, and then can find a diagnosis for this, and then find the cure, which is nibbana, and the prescription, which is the patipada, or the way, the magga that we walk, the way that we walk in order to achieve nibbana. And these two verses sort of exemplify this, the Lord Buddha's role as a doctor, as a surgeon. He is dissecting the issues that we face, and this is relevant now as it was in Buddha's day, and it will always be relevant because the Dhamma is akaliko, it's timeless, and it will always be relevant as long as there are sentient beings in existence in this universe or the next or anywhere. And if I translate these verses, the first one is the verse number 7 from the Dhammapada. When translated, it means a person who is intent upon the attractive nature of things, with the senses unrestrained, with no moderation in food, who is lazy and low energy, and this person will be knocked over or defeated or overwhelmed by Mara, like the wind overturns a weak, rotten tree. And here we see Lord Buddha making a diagnosis and a prognosis, and the prognosis is not very good because you get defeated by Mara. And he's showing the cause to get defeated by Mara. And before I elaborate further and go to the next verse as well, we need to understand what is Mara and what is what is the diagnosis. And the diagnosis is dukkha. And this, I chose not to translate it because it is such a complex term. And when we translate into suffering, as is usually done, it kind of loses the entire spectrum of meaning behind that word. And this is sort of a fault in languages and in the way we understand and translate things, is because language as it is, even Pali or any language, is quite poor at describing an experience. And when you translate it, you lose even more of that meaning. And dukkha is sort of another translation can be dissatisfaction. Basically, life is a bumpy ride, and if you're not ready for that bumpy ride, then we get knocked about and cause a lot of pain. And the Buddhist way is sort of to be ready for that bumpy ride, to go along with that bumpy ride, and then find some enjoyment in it. Find the little things that make you happy. And that's a very simplified explanation, but there are so many explanations for dukkha. And Mara is quite famous because there are parallels in other religions as well, with Satan and Lucifer and so forth. But in Buddhism, we describe sort of five kinds of maras. There is the Kanda Mara, who is like a personification of the aggregates that form you, your body, your mind. So Rupa, Sanya, Sankhara, Vedana, Vijnana, and these things are subject to change. And because we cannot accept that change, we cause suffering onto ourselves. And this is just the way of things. And the other Mara, the second Mara, is the Kilesa Mara, or the personification of our defilements, our greed, our hatred, our jealousy, our conceit, our delusion, our fear. I think there are the three main ones are greed, hatred, and delusion. Delusion being the delusion of the self, delusion of the permanence. And there are several other categories as well. But you can understand this is sort of the psychological aspect of our suffering, of what causes us to be in pain. And the other Mara, number three, is Abhisankara Mara, or this is actually the kamma, the actions that we do and the reactions we face. If we do something bad, bad things will happen to us. This is sort of the universal law that underlies everything. And that is the fifth Mara is unavoidable. It's something we all face. It's the Machu Mara. That's the death, sort of like the Grim Reaper. A personification of this unmovable, unstoppable force, which is death, which will hit us no matter what. The modern scientists are trying to say that aging is a disease and death is a disease, and we will find a cure for it. But I don't think that's very likely, because I mean, even if they miraculously manage to figure out such a complex thing as the human body and the consciousness and manage to make it permanent, then the anyway the world will end. It gets swallowed up by the sun, and the whole universe will end. So you gotta die anyway. And the last Mara is perhaps the most famous one, because he's illustrated in all our legends. And if you're born as a Buddhist, sort of taught to you since you were a child as well, it's the Devaputta Mara, which is the sort of the celestial being Mara, the sort of the tempter that tried to stop the Buddha from gaining enlightenment and tries to stop us from gaining enlightenment as well. So sort of like the biblical Lucifer, a fallen angel. Um, and out of these Maras, the first four are quite obvious to us, and they manifest in so many ways through our normal everyday life and our meditation as well. When you start noticing the function of your kilesas, and you start noticing the simple fact that your aggregates will fall away, and the fact that you will die, and these are the maras that we have to face. And I guess Devhuta Mara as well, people face as well, because you hear stories of monks who meet in their meditation, like figures like God or Buddha coming and telling them to not stop meditating, you're doing it wrong, this is the proper way, the other monks don't know, and things like this. And I mean, I guess the question is not to ask these people who have these experiences, whether that was real or not, but rather to think, can you believe it or not? And can you believe just someone you see immediately without knowing a whole time? Are you going to take their instructions? If whether that person is in your head or in outside, like it's the Buddha said that we need to trust the Kalyana Mittas and the Sappurisas. Kalyana Mittas is like friends that guide you on the path, and to know that one is someone you can guide you, a Kalyana Mitta. You need to associate with them for a long time and get to know them really well before you can trust your spiritual development on them. So anyway, this is quite a digression, but this is what is meant by Maras. But the translation that I've read is describing only the Kilesa Maras. But actually, like with every other sutta, this is like you could apply these teachings to every other sort of Mara as well, and every other aspect of your life, and you're welcome to try it out. Like the rest of Buddhism is Buddha is the doctor, but he's not gonna come around and shove the medicine down your throat. That's up to you to take it, and it's not our job as monks to shove the medicine down your throat either. You have a choice whether you want to take it or not. And I'm asking you to just listen, have enough, a little bit of faith to listen, and maybe give it a go. And the results are guaranteed. The benefits of good practice are the good benefits are guaranteed, and not following the path and falling into wrong ways and being heedless will provide consequences, and that is guaranteed as well. So I will go on to the second verse, the verse number 8. And if you translate it, it's sort of the reverse of the verse number 7 that I said before, where Buddha provided the diagnosis and the prognosis. And here, Lord Buddha is providing the prescription. He's showing us how to stop Mara from knocking us over, from overwhelming us like a rotten tree. And here, if you translate it, it means a person who is intent upon the impurities. In this case, it could be the body, and upon the impurities with their senses restrained, with moderation in food, with faith and great energy. This person cannot be knocked over by Mara, like a great mountain in the face of the wind. And here, again, it's up to us whether we want to be a rotten tree or we want to be a great mountain. And when we take this line by line, we can see how we can apply it to our lives. And when we take the first one, the subhanupassim viharantam, the intent upon beautiful things, this is something everyone loves to do. And this is just how we are conditioned to be. And the reverse of that, asubhanupassim viharantam, to, to contemplate on the impurities and the ugly things is something that people have a hard time accepting, and is something that we really don't like to hear. We try to avoid or try to ignore, um, and this is kind of the reason why some people have mistakenly believe that Buddhism can be pessimistic or nihilistic. But so like, oh no, I'm so ugly, so disgusting. It's I'm sick of living like that. But that's really not the point in this exercise. It's because we are so enamored and so attached to what is beautiful and what is attractive that we are missing out on this other side of reality. Because there are two sides to this reality. There are beautiful things and there are ugly things in the beautiful. And when you are only focused on one part, you're missing out. You're not seeing the full reality, the full spectrum, and you're not appreciating what is actually there. You're not understanding it fully, because beauty and ugliness is sort of like two sides of the same coin. What is beautiful for you could be ugly for someone else, and what is beautiful could actually be ugly, but our ignorance is saying it's beautiful. And um, if you can become comfortable with looking and finding the ugliness in the beauty, and the beauty in the ugliness, if you may, you will find that your life is a lot more free. It's a lot more carefree, and you're not so worried. And you can understand. We can understand this nowadays, and in a way, our entire lives we are sort of brainwashed into only looking at beautiful things on TV, on advertising, and especially now on Instagram and Facebook. It's constantly shoved in our face, like beautiful people doing more beautiful things, and you need to be this beautiful, and you need to buy this clothes to look beautiful, and you need to have this perfume and drive this car. It's just it's overwhelming, and this is causing so much suffering. There are really, really, like, girls who are so insecure and so sad about how they look because they see these things all day long, and they wonder about their self-worth. And it's really tragic to hear some of them talking this way. And it's not even just girls, actually, it's boys as well now, because that is the ideal that is displayed, and you must conform to it. And this sort of comes from our ignorance of that there are ugly things in this world. And because when we look at these photos that people post of their beautiful faces and everything, you don't get to see them wake up in the morning with no makeup on, with dribbling down dribbling, and hair looking like a crow's nest, and just these eye things everywhere, and just stinking of sweat. Or you don't see that side, because that is hidden from us, but that is the reality. And when you see that, you realize, oh, it's just human, and you are the same. And why do I need to be so worried about how I look, and why do I need to worry about conforming to this ideal standard? Because it's a construction, it's just a delusion. I mean, you see these people sitting on their yachts and sipping champagne, but they don't post videos of them. I don't know, like having explosive diarrhea after a dodgy kebab or something like that. And it's just such an obsession with the pleasant things. It's causing so much pain in this way, because we just cannot accept our own failures, our own, when we don't conform to it. This is obvious, even when you look at the sort of, these celebrities who are constantly, their dirty laundry getting aired on TV and tabloids everywhere. Like, these are some of the most beautiful people on earth, but they get married. The most beautiful woman gets married to the most beautiful man, and before long they get sick of each other and divorce, because they're so obsessed with beauty. They don't see the fact that, okay, there is something ugly. And when they get to know each other for a while, they realize there is something ugly in that person. It could be their personality, it could be their actions, the way they treat each other, or it could be just the fact that you look at the same face every day, you start getting bored, and starts getting ugly, because you're not comfortable with that side. You get locked into it, and then there are all these embarrassing stories, and getting sued, and so many, just too much trouble than it's worth, just because you're intent on the beautiful. um, and in our own lives, and when we say that you should look at our body, like the chanting that we do, the our I can't remember the chanting, but it's sort of like we're trying to describe each body part. The hair, head of hair of body, and so on and so forth. We're listing the 32 organs and trying to think, look at our body, breaking it down into these disgusting parts. And this is also not to make you disgusted by yourself, but it's just to see the reality. Because if you can see this side, you won't be so obsessed by your own looks, and this would make you a lot more free. Just imagine not having to wake up and spend 3 hours on your hair. So, um, And like, and as you get older, and this is the Kandamara starts breaking down, your aggregate starts aging, and Machumara comes knocking, which is death. Things change, and we get ugly, we get saggy and wrinkly, and we are not ready for that because we are so attached to the beauty. And yeah, and it comes as a shock because you see some people who get into plastic surgery and they look like reptilian aliens because they stick this Botox, which is like I think the most toxic chemical in the world, and like just milligram of it can kill like a whole family. But they do micrograms on their face so that they don't wrinkle. They're just so obsessed and so attached to their youth and their beauty and being strong and looking good and having people like them and everything, because they attach so much value to it, because they weren't considering the fact that things change, that things get ugly. It's just the way it is. And they just cannot accept it, so they suffer, and they do these things to themselves that people laugh at, But if we accept it, if we look at the ugly things, and if we see both sides of this equation of life, of body, of nature, then we can be happier. We can be ready for anything, ready for death, ready for sickness, ready for an accident, just ready for time to take its course. And also, you see the beauty in others, and that's not just at the surface, not just what everyone thinks is beautiful, because what everyone thinks is beautiful is subject to change. It's I mean, as an example, what is considered beautiful now, a beautiful woman who sort of now would be considered ugly a few 100 years ago, would be like the ideal was a obese, very overweight woman, but now that's considered not a good thing, and in 100 years it'll probably be the same. It's like, it's the same kind of thing, but there are different ideas, and it's just opinion what is beautiful and what is ugly. And if you can do this sort of contemplation on ugliness and beauty, and you will understand that these are just opinions, and you will feel so free because you're not attached to these concepts of ugly and beautiful. You're just a human being, and you'll be so happy with yourself, and also you'll be so happy with others, and you wouldn't develop any bad ideas or any bad thoughts, or say anything hurtful. You will be a kinder, wiser, uh, more compassionate person, just a much more beautiful person inside. And this is the point in not being intent on only the beautiful. Subhanupassim vihara. So I just wanted to say that is why Buddhism is not pessimistic but realistic. And when you understand reality, you will see how kind you become. When you go to the next other lines, they sort of branch out from this first sort of intention on the beauty, and instead look at the ugliness. And when someone is only intent on the beautiful, then they also cannot restrain their senses. And when restraint when we restrain our senses, we develop a deeper sense of happiness than if we just only want to consume. Like, let's say you want to only eat pleasant foods, and you eat and you eat and you eat. Bhojanam michamatan, you're not moderating your food, and you just want to eat this pleasant thing constantly. You're gonna end up sick and suffer. um, but if you can see both sides of the spectrum and you're aware of it, you can be restrained, and you can enjoy this but not destroy yourself. You can find the middle path, without completely abstaining, or totally indulging, and just use it for the function that is intended to. And in this sort of the restraint of the senses, and the moderating your food and any consumption really shows us that is the difference between what we describe as amisa sukha and niramisa sukha. So amisa sukha is sort of the happiness that you get from your senses, from the world, basically. This is a happiness that will end, and you need more of it in order to get more of it. So it's like it's tanha. It's like craving. It's like you filling a pot with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much you fill it, it's gonna keep going down. It will never get full. Uh, but if you can find happiness, which is unworldly or niramisa sukha, this happiness comes from dharana and sila and bhavana. With this sort of happiness, it is like a pot with a massive mouth. It's so easy to fill, and once it's full, it doesn't keep draining out. It just overflows with happiness and just stays at that level. It's a lot more wholesome and a lot more fulfilling. And this comes, first of all, by understanding the ugliness in things and not only looking at the beauty of things, and doing some hard work, which is described in the the fourth line, which is kusitam hina viryam, which is laziness and lack of energy, which will stop you from exercising for these qualities in you that will help you be happy and be free. And to counteract this, you need the faith and great energy. We need to understand that in the faith in this context and in Buddhism in general, it's not just blind faith. It is enough faith to trust in this teaching and give it a go, listen and give it a go, and then once you get the results, and there will be results, that's when you develop actual faith and more confidence in the teaching, which will drive you forward and bring you more and more energy, which will keep pushing you forward along the path until you realize freedom. This is sort of what is unique about Buddhism. It's this approach to liberation where we find it ourselves. We don't have to rely on the whims of some supernatural entity or do a lot of rituals. We just need to put in the work, and every day, every moment of your thoughts, your your actions and your words that you speak, you exercise this will. You exercise your saddha and your virya, your confidence and your energy, and you can fail. It's okay, but you have another choice, another chance, and you need to try again. And the more you try and the more you succeed, the more easy it becomes to succeed. The stronger you become. It's just like. No, I don't know, like hitting the gym, like if you want to be healthy, what are you going to do? Just stand on the treadmill and walk for 5 minutes while watching a movie? Or are you going to hit the weights and go for a sprint, And what is going to make you feel better? What's going to make you stronger? And the more effort you put in, the more you get back, because this Dhamma is the Dhamma is for those who are energetic, and this is something we can all cultivate just by little things, just by giving a little dana, and when it comes to giving dana, like even if you don't have money, you don't have to give money. You could do it through action, by coming and helping out, even helping out, volunteering, by even sila and bhavana is a form of dana called patipatti dana, and this is totally free. You could give dhammadana, and you could even pointing someone towards the dhamma is a form of dana. So if someone says, "Oh, I would like to start meditating. Do you know anyone?" And you say, "Oh, you can ask Ajahn Sujan." That's a form of dana. That's it's that simple to start off with, and Buddha never said that you need to donate all your earnings or something like that. He said you need to look after yourself. You need to look after the future of your family and have compassion for your the people that you love and yourself. And if whatever your means are, just a little bit aside, and you can use that for that. So you don't have to worry too much about it. It's very easy to start off, and then you go on to Sila and then Bhavana, which the basis of which is dana. You start off with dana, and then you go on to these two, and Sila becomes easier the more you try as well, because the world does not want you to keep your Sila, and this I know because I was breaking it all my life until until just well, last year actually. So, yeah, but the more you try, the easier it gets. And the easier it gets, you will notice the more confident and the stronger you become. Because a person who has a good sealer is a truly uh, easygoing and person, because they're so blameless. It's like you've got nothing to worry about. You're sorted. Your life is sorted. Your next life is sorted. You're on the path for sure. There's nothing in the world that can scare a person who keeps the sealer truly. And this is one of the benefits of Sila, apart from the good merit. It's just the psychological well being, which will help Samadhi. And this is Buddha described in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. It's like a person who uses Sila and Samadhi together. It has great fruits. It's very fruitful. Mm. Um, and also the famous the verse from the Buddha, Sile patitito naro sapanyo chittam bhavaya chittam panyancha bhavayan. It's like how to cut this knot of that we are all stuck in, this all this trouble we have in samsara in this life. You cut it by being established in sila and by purifying your mind through bhavana. Um, this is like the sort of the patipatti part of the Buddha's prescription, and this is the most important in a way to stop this. Not to stop this verse, but the final sort of instruction in this verse is to use your energy, your effort, and maintain your faith, and keep trying. And the more you try, the stronger you will become. And you just start off small, and you can build up, and the better you will become. So this sort of very short reflection on these short verses. I hope it brings in you the necessity of giving the path a go, or keep going, and actually keep improving and take on more challenges, because that is what will bring you the fruits of the Buddha's path. Um, it's up to you, as you can see, whether you want to be a strong mountain or a weak tree that falls with the slightest breeze. Because this world is harsh. There are so many, I don't know, hailstorms, rainstorms, hurricanes trying to knock you over, inferno, and you can strengthen yourself in order not to be corrupted by this, by the vicissitudes, by the challenges of the world, and to remain strong and keep going. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and then I hope you have a very nice day, and you will not be too intent upon the beautiful. Thank you very much. Bye bye.